My African hypocritical brother, I need you to come all the way out of the house. All the way out of the house. Because this is a weak argument at best. No, a person who claims to be of a loving God but yet tortures people, enslaves people, treats women poorly, cannot teach me about a loving God and try to tell me that that is the God that I'm supposed to worship. And your comparison to that is they can teach me how to wear nice clothes and cigars made. For first of all, Caucasians didn't make cigars. Just to let you know that. You may not know that. Many people don't. But it was the indigenous people in the Caribbean and in Mexico and Brazil and those areas, Central America, they made cigars. Europeans just took cigars to Europe. And even to this day, there are 5 major farms for cigars. They're owned by people of color. There are some minor farms that are owned by Europeans in Connecticut, Germany, places like that. But they're made by people of color. As a matter of fact, you're in Ghana. Skip on down the street to Cameroon. You'll find a lot of tobacco farmers. So don't talk to me about cigars when you don't know anything about cigars. Now, you say take part in their language. You live in Ghana. You grew up in a country that was once a colony. I can't remember if Ghana was a colony of the French or the English. But guess what? You speak English. You're using the technology that was created by them as well, right? Even though some parts of it was created by people of color, but you speak English. You live in a city. You live in a car. You live in a city. That type of architecture didn't come by Africans, right? No, that's not African architecture. That's Western architecture. Your water systems, your plumbings, all those kind of things that you're utilizing. Yeah, no. Your concept of utilizing printed money, even though it's the printed money of Ghana, but printed money as an IOU that has value based on what people will agree to that value, didn't come from Ghana either. All right. And maybe you're fine with that. Maybe you're perfectly fine with that. And you are lucky enough to have been born in a country to parents who never had to go through slavery, as far as the transatlantic slavery. Granted, you do have family members who were under colonial rule, who were subjugated by those who colonized your country. And yeah, you have your independence now, but that independence is new. It's not like you've had independence for the entirety of your country's existence. You've only had that independence for about 60 years, 60, 70 years. That's about as long as you've had this independence. So don't try to walk around with your head high because you happen to be born in a country where your ancestors who were conquered and you were able to remain. I was born here in America. I thoroughly had plans to leave America. But I was born into a family that lived in houses. Well, we lived in an apartment, but grandparents had a house. But who lived in European style housing, who wore clothing that were made into whatever the cultural norms were, that spoke the language of this country. Um, I cannot choose where I am born, nor neither can you. You cannot choose the past history of your family, just like I can't choose the past history of mine. But what you do with it now is what makes all the difference. You see, if you're just going to sit back and say that, well, my family was conquered. We used to practice African traditional religions, but then 10 generations ago, my family was conquered and we were subjugated into following the European version of Christianity. And we have done so. We've mixed in a little of our ancestry in it, just as black people in America has mixed in some African ancestry religion into Christianity. But you still became Christian, if you are Christian, but you still became Christian based on the fact of your family being conquered by the colonialist and forcing your family into Christianity. You are not Christian by choice. You're Christian by conditioning. At least I have enough sense to objectively look at the history, objectively look at the information that is provided by this so-called deity, and then realize that it is for my own betterment to walk away from this religion and not sit there and live in fear of it. You are the ones who sit inside the house and think that everything is better for you because you're in the house compared to those out in the field. But at the end of the day, a slave is a slave, a slave is a slave. And your mind is still enslaved to a religion that is not your own. It is not one that was created for you or by you. It was created for someone else, by someone else. But you have a great day. And remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.